Hello, Packers fans. Welcome into PackersNews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill, joined by Pete Dougherty here at Empower Field at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado, where the Packers have fallen to 2-4, Pete, after a 1917 loss to the Denver Broncos. Another close game. This one to a team that coming into today was a one-win team in the Broncos. Is this kind of just what you've come to expect from this Packers team now at this point, at least this early in the season?
Well, I don't, it's hard to know what to expect. That's why picking these games is impossible. Right. But this has been some epically bad offensive football for several weeks in a row now. So they've got some real problems. I mean, I totally get they're young, and there's going to be some rough sledding, and there's going to be ups and downs. I didn't think the downs would be this bad this long. So, was it 3 or 4 games now where they have really struggled on offense? The first halves have been a disaster. So they've got a lot of work to do, and there's some red flags popping up, but there still is a lot of season, and none of us knows how things might look in December. Maybe they find some things that work and things turn around eventually, but there's got to be a lot of concern. And Matt LaFleur was a little testy in his press conference. Jordan Love was down, and rightfully so for both of them. It was a rough day for both guys.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, you never know what sort of run they can go on. Aaron Jones said the same thing in the locker room afterwards. I've been on teams where we were at, something like 2-4, and then we didn't lose another game the rest of the season. It sounds a lot like what we heard Aaron Rodgers say over and over last year before they went on that 4-game winning streak. But there's no Aaron Rodgers here this year to save this team. Right. So, I mean, do you trust the Packers' potential to pull them out of this, or is this going to be rough sledding the rest of this year as this young team sort of finds themselves?
I don't know. I mean, it's, just having watched what we just watched and known what came in the few weeks before, it's hard to just, dismiss it. You don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, but it's hard to just pretend like that didn't happen either. So I don't know what to think or know about what's going to happen going forward. I think, Love is starting to show some of the, with all the interceptions lately, a little bit of the traits of his last season in college where he threw all those interceptions. It was only one today, but it was at a really crucial time, and it's still third down. They didn't have to go for it. I think he just didn't see the safety over there, the safety who came over for the interception. There's anybody who's looking for bad things, there's plenty to pick from. I was just thinking through because Rob Demoski from ESPN tweeted out that it's been since 2005 where they had 4 games in a row where they scored less than 20 points. And I'm trying hard to think back to how bad it looked in 2005. And they got blown out in some games in 2005. That's with Favre, who was a veteran at quarterback then. But I don't remember the stretches of this long. It's just such a struggle for them to score right now. They got nothing to hang their hat on, and they got a bunch of guys injured, which, amongst other things, it just makes it harder to practice to get the chemistry that they're lacking and the timing that they're lacking. It's just it stunts all that growth too. If Watson ends up missing practice this week or anybody else, Musgrave, you name it.
You mentioned Love's interception, only one today. It's interesting because when you look at the box score, if you look at everything but the score, Packers played a pretty decent game. They scored 2 touchdowns to the Broncos 1, but then the interception comes at the worst possible time. Both Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur talked about that interception. Let's hear what they had to say.
For the most part, I thought he was making pretty good decisions. I put that last one on me in terms of just probably should have called a safer play where you get half of it and try to set yourself up for a manageable situation, on the next down. And we took a shot and obviously didn't come through.
That's part of the process of learning and growing. But, you check it down, you go for it on 4th and 12. Who knows what happens? It's one of those things, what if?
Did you see the safety before you let go of the football? Or
which safety?
The backside safety.
The one that made the play?
Yeah.
No.
Were you surprised that he was in the vicinity with, that over route?
Yeah, so I was surprised he was able to make a play because, like I said, I didn't see him. I was kind of keying the safety that was on the backside who didn't make the play. But, it's just, a play I got to learn from.
Pete, as you also mentioned, this is a team that's just almost lackadaisical in the first half. They're disjointed. They don't really seem to have a plan, or if they do have a plan, they don't follow it. What is it that's changing from the first half to the second half, in your opinion?
I think, and Jordan Love was asked about that, and I think the answer he gave was right. It's they play so badly in the first half, and they're so far behind, or they're behind, and they come out and it's like, well, we got no choice. Somebody's got to do something, and maybe they need to. I mean, it's hard to just manufacture that mentality coming out of the gate, but they got to do something because these slow starts are killing them. It's so hard to play when it's uphill, right off the bat. And God, have they played a decent first half since the opener? I don't think they have.
They haven't. I don't think they've scored a first half touchdown since the opener.
Yeah, I mean, it's just killing them.
That puts a lot on the defense as well. A bunch of the defensive guys in the locker room today talked about, what do they have to do on defense if the offense is going to sputter in the first half. Let's actually hear from a couple of them now.
We just know as a defense we have to be consistent, and as long as we be consistent and play how we need to play, the offense will be fine. So as a defense, you just got to get the ball back to the offense as many times as we can.
Always self-critical of us in the defense. I never care about what the offense do because they do whatever the hell they want to do. But as much bad as they played the first half, we was up 1 point in the fourth quarter with like 6-7 minutes to go. We got to get off the field, bro. Like, everybody can say what they want to say around here, but we got to get off the field, bro. Like, they played terrible, cool. Gave us a chance up, won, got to get off the grass. Like, I felt like every third down in the second half, we got a penalty. And gave them first down. They didn't get no first downs. Like, hold them. Like, bro, what? So, I blame the defense, like I always do. It's always on us. We don't want to put the ball in the offensive hand to be able to win or lose a game. Like, it's supposed to be on us. That's what we got to do. And they gave us a chance, you know what I'm saying, up 1. And we ain't get off the grass. We held them to 3, but could have held them to 0. You know what I mean? A punt, so.
You said they don't really have anything to hang their hat on. I'm actually going to slightly disagree. I think the one thing they have to hang their hat on right now is their running game. We saw A.J. Dillon play one of his better games of this season. Aaron Jones back, the most touches he's had since week 1 when he left with that hamstring injury. And we saw the few times that it felt like they needed a play, it was one of those guys who kind of came around and took care of things. You got a couple of big plays from Dontavian Wicks today, Romeo Doubs with a 50-50 touchdown, but it was really that running game. Does it feel like they're going to just have to lean on that? And I don't think it's a coincidence that those are your two veterans on a very young offense.
Yeah, they probably are, and it's a good sign that Jones got through this game and didn't get hurt. I don't know the snap count. I'm guessing he played a little less than half the game maybe. So maybe next week he's back to a full-time player. And we saw on that one third down where he took the ball outside and he made the corner,
right,
and
yeah.
didn't that just jump off? Like, I don't know what it looked like on TV.
He was going to lose a yard.
Yeah, I don't know what it looked like on TV compared to in person, but it was just like, wow, that he just made the corner in an instant, and that's why he's a good running back. So that is something. If he can play more snaps, that they could have that going for him. And even though Dillon had his best game of the year, and especially in the second half, they stuck with the run and his physicality. He seemed to run with a little more power. But those runs where if he has to stop his feet, it's cooked. It's over.
As I said, those are your two veterans on offense. So it's probably also not a coincidence that those were the two guys in the locker room afterwards that really were trying to hold things together and say, we can still be a good team. We can still get there. It's just going to take a little bit more time. Let's actually hear from both of those guys on what they think this team can do as they head back home over the next couple of weeks.
We're in every game. We're right there. I think it's just going to make us a better team at the end. I know people don't want to hear that. They're tired of hearing that, or, we're young. But young teams have to learn how to win as well. And every team that I've been on, we've had to learn how to win. So this is our learning lesson, and I think we'll get over that hump.
Does going hand in hand with that learning how to lose, so to speak, like how not to let the mistakes repeat the week after?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. When you get in crucial situations, you don't want to make crucial mistakes or have one person make a mistake. And in the crucial situations, you need all 11 across the board. Your mental errors got to come down, different things like that. And I think when those things happen, you start seeing a little bit more success.
There's nobody pressing the panic button. I'm not pressing the panic button. I think I've got enough football on this level to know that, there's all types of teams out there. There's teams that, get hot at the right time. And, I think we have a lot of talent. And, looking around the locker room, There's so many playmakers, and so, there's a lot of guys playing with high effort, and, it's just one of those things where it's going to click. And, obviously you want it to click every single game and get going, but when you got a lot of, great playmakers out there and you got a lot of guys playing with great effort, I'd rather have 11 people flying out there at top speed and, messing up than, everybody playing perfect, but, not really hustling and don't really care about what's going on. I think it's just a matter of time.
So, Pete, as I said, they finally get to go back home. 4 of their first 6 games were on the road. It's got to feel good to finally get back home this next week, maybe get some more home calls. The Broncos 1 touchdown today. We asked Rasul Douglas about it afterwards. That was that Sutton touchdown, and he was like, it was such an obvious pick play, but I guess it's, it's so weird how they call those plays nowadays. Yeah, and you never know. But, maybe they get a few more calls their ways. But this team is not a ref's call away from winning. Let's make that clear. But they do get to go back home next week. If you're the Packers and you head back home and you're facing the Minnesota Vikings, so a division game, I mean, what do you need if you're the Packers over this next week? Is it to get back some guys? They were missing Jair Alexander today. That made a huge difference because the Broncos picked on rookie Carrington Valentine all day. So is it getting back guys that are injured? Is it simplifying the game plan? What's the most important thing the Packers do over this next week?
Is any and all those things. I mean, they're not playing murderer's row here,
Right.
So these are teams that they have a chance against. But I think the biggest thing is to just not fall behind early and to be playing from behind. That makes things so much tougher on everybody. And they need a defense to get a stop every time once they're behind. And you can't expect that. I mean, they don't have a really good defense. It's okay, but it's not really good. So they can't bank on that. So whatever it takes to come out in the first quarter and get a first quarter touchdown, whatever it takes, that's what they need to do. I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know if you do. Yeah. Maybe you should be helping LaFleur script his first 15.
Okay, well, that actually leads me to what I wanted to ask as our last question here before we wrap up. If any big changes were going to come, it was probably going to be in the bye week. But do you think we're at a point where we have to start questioning, should LaFleur hand over play calling duties and put his attention on other head coaching duties?
That's always going to be a question with these guys, with the head coaches who call plays. It's really hard to get them to give it up because it's something they feel like they control. Mike McCarthy did it whatever year that was, 2016 or whatever, 15, 17, I don't remember what season it was. And halfway through the season, he took it back. So he said he was never going to do that again, and then he goes on to Dallas, and because they didn't want him to call play, they wanted Kellen Moore calling plays. He gave it up, but now he took him back. So I find it hard to believe LaFleur would give that up, but sure, it's a fair question for sure.
Well, that is something that maybe get asked this week. We'll head home. Pete, I appreciate you doing this whole thing and not making fun of my hoarse voice once. Well, it's slightly fitting being hoarse in horse country here, Denver Broncos country. That was my bad attempt at a pun. I think that's our sign to land this thing, to wrap this thing up. We're going to head back to Green Bay, but we will have full coverage wrapping up the Packers' loss to the Broncos and then looking ahead to another division game versus the Minnesota Vikings next week. Thanks so much, guys. For Pete, I'm Kassidy from Denver. We'll see you next time.